Book 2, Part 2 of Troilus and Criseyde by Geoffrey Chaucer. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Kevin Johnson. This Pandarus come laping in at onnes, and saide thus: Who hath been well ye bet to-day with swordes, and with slingestones, but Troilus that hath cocked him and hate, and gan to yape and saide, Lord, so ye swete, but rise and let us soup and go to reste. And he answered him, Do we as thee laste. With all the hast goodly that they makede, they spedde him fro the souper unto bede, and every weeked out at the door him deekede, and where him least upon his way him spade. But Troilus that thought his heart of lade, for woe, till that he heard some teeding, he said, Friend, shall I now weep or sing? Quod Pandarus, Lie still and let me slepe, and doen thine hode, thy natives spade obey, and chase if thou wilt sing or dance or lape. At shorte wordes thou shalt trowe me. Sire, my nase will do well by thee, and love thee best, by God and by my troth, but lack a pursuit make it in thy slouth. For thus fare forth ye have the work begun, fro day to day, till this day, by the morrow. Her love of friendship have ye to thee won, and also hath she laid her faith to borrow. All gate of foot is hammerlaid of thy sorrow. What shall thee linger sermon of it holde? As ye han heard before, all hae him tolde. But reeked as flowers, thurg the cold of neek declosed, stoopen on her stalk low, redressen him again the son of reekte, and spraden on her keende course by row. Reek so gan though his ain up to throw this Troilus and saide, O Venus dere, thy meekt, thy grass, ye heried be it here. And to Pandora he held up both his handes, and saide, Lord, all thine be that I have, for I am whole. All brosten been me bondes, 1,000 Trojans, whoso that me yeve, each after other, God so wies me save, ne meekt me so gladen, lo min harte, it spreadeth so for joy, it will to starte. But Lord, how shall I doen? How shall I liven? When shall I next me dare harte see? How shall this long time away be driven, till that thou be again at here fro me? Thou mayest answer, Abide, abide, but he that hangeth by the necke, sooth to sayn, in great disease, abideth for the pain. All easily now for the love of Martha, quod Pandarus, for everything hath time, so long it be till that the neek depart. For all so seeker as thou least here be me, and God to forn, he will be there at prima, and for thy work somewhat as he shall say, or on some other week this charge lay. For pardie, God wot, ye have ever yet been ready they to serve, and to this neek have ye knocked feigned, but am forth me wit done all thy lust, and shall with all me meeked. Do now as ye shall say, and fairer reeked, and if thou nilt, weet all thee self thy cara, on me is knocked along thine evil fara. I woot well that thou wiser art than I 1,000-fold, but if I were as thou, God help me so, as I would outwardly, reeked of mine own hand, write to her right now a letter, in which I would her tellen how I fared amiss, and here beseech of routh, now help thyself, and leave it not for slouth. And I myself shall therewith to her goon, and when thou wost that I am with her there, worth thou up on a course reeked anon, yea, heartily reeked in thy best gear, and rid forth by the place, as knocked ne were, and thou shalt find us, if I may, sitting at some window, into the straight looking. And if thee list, then mayst thou us salue, and upon me make thy countenance, but by the leaf beware and fast eschew, to tarry and oct, God shield us from mischance, read forth thy way, and hold thy governance, and we shall spake of thee somewhat, I trow, when thou art gone, to do thine errors glow. Touching thy lettre, thou art wheezy knocked, I wot, I would thou nilt it digna leech and deet, as make it with these argumentes tauch. No scrivenish or craftily thou art brita, be bloated with thy terrors ekalita, and if thou read a goodly word all softa, though it be good, rehearse it not too ofta. For though the best harpur upon leva, would on the best sounded eoli harpa, that ever was, with all his fingers fever, touch I o string, or I o warble harpa. Were his nails pointed never so sharpa, it should make an every week to dull, to hear his glee, and of his stroke is fulla. Ne lompre eke no discordant thing I fera, as thus, to use in termes of physique, in love's termes, hold of the mater, the form alway, and do that it be leak, for if a painter would paint a peak with ass's feet, and head it as an ape, it cordeth knocked, so ne'er it but a yape. This counsel leaked well to Troilus, but as a dreadful lover he said of this, Alas, me dear brother Pandarus, I am ashamed for to read thee wees, lest of mine innocence I said amiss, or that she knolled it for despite receive, then were I deed, there meeked it nothing waver. To that Pandara answered, If thee lest, do what I say, and let me therewith goon. For by that Lord that formed east and west, I hope of it to bring answer anon, reeked of her hand. And if that thou nilt noon, that be, and so remote he bane his leva, against thy lust that helpeth thee to threva. Quoth Troilus, de pardo, I assanta, send that thee least I will arise and rita, and please for God pray each, with good intent, the viage and the lettre I shall indeed. So spade it, and thou, Minerva, the wita, if thou me wit, me lettre to divisa, and set him down, and root reeked in this wisa. First he gan her his reeked laddie Carla, his heart is leave, his lust, his sorrow is lech, his bliss, and eke these other termes alla, that in which cast these lovers alla secha. And in full home Louisa, as in his specha, he gan him recommand unto her grasa, to tell all how it axeth mucho spasa. And after this, for lowly he her prayed, to be knocked ruth, though he of his folly so hardy was to her to Rita, and said that love it mada, or else most he dee, and pit out league and mercy for to cree. And after that he said, and lay for loud, himself was little worth, and less he cowed. And that she should han his cunning excused, that little was, and eke he dread her so, and his unworthiness he I accused. And after that, then gan he tell his woe, but that was endless, withouten hoe, and saida, he wold in troth all we him holda, and rada it over, and gan the lettre folda. And with his salted terrors gan he bathe the ruby in his signet, and it setta upon the wax, to liver leech and wreatha. Therewith 1,000 temes ere he letta, he kissed though the lettre that he shata, and said, Lettre, a blissful destiny they shapen is, my laddie shall thee see. This Pandara took the lettre, and that by team a morwa, and to his niece's palace sterta, and fast he swore that it was passed prima, and gan to yape, and said, I wis mine heart, so fresh it is, although it sore smelta, I may not sleep never a may's morwa, I have a yorly woe, a lusty sorwa. Criseyde, one that she her uncle hearda, with dreadful hearta, and desirous to hear the cause of his coming, thus answered, Now by your faith, mine uncle, quod she, dear, what manner windis guideth thou now here? Tell us your yorly woe and your penance, how fareforth be thou put in love's dance. By God, quoth he, I hope alway be henda, and she to lach, it thocht her harte breste. Quod Pandarus, look alwie that ye fiend gam in min hood, but hearkeneth if your leiste. There is richt now come into town a geste, a Greek espie, and telleth new a thinges, for which ye come to tell yow tidinges. Into the garden go we, and we shall hear all privily of this a long sermon. With that they went in arm ye faire, into the garden from the chamber down. And when that he so fair was, that the sound of that he spake, no man hear meekte, he said her thus, and out the letter pleeked. Lo, he that is all wholly yours free, him recommendeth lowly to your grace, and sent to you this letter here by me, aviseth yow on it, when ye hence passe, and of some goodly answer yow purchase, or help me God, so plainly for to sayn, he may not longer liven for his pain. Full dreadfully though gone she stonde still, and took it knocked, but all her humble cheer gan for to change, and saide, Skrit ne billa, for love of God, that toucheth switch mater, ne bring me none, and also uncle dear, to mine estate have more reward, I pray, than to his lust, what shall thee more say? And looketh now if this be reasonable, and letteth knocked for favour nay for slouth, to sayn a sooth, now were it convenable to mine estate by God, and by your troth, to taken it, or to han of him routh, in harming of myself or in reprave, bear it again for him that ye unlave. This Pandarus gan on her for to stare, and said, Now is this the greatest wonder, that ever I say, let be this nice affaire, to death mote he smeten be with thunder, if, for the city which that standeth yonder, wold a letter unto yow bring or take to harm of yow, what list yow thus it make? But thus ye faren well nege all in somme, that he that most desireth yow to serve, of him ye rate least, where he be come, and whether that he leave or else serve. But for all that ever he may deserve, refuse it knocked, quod he, and hent her fast, and in her bosom the letter down he thrust. And saide here, Now cast it away anon, that folk may seen and garen honest way, quod she, ye canna be till they be gone, and gan to smile, and say to him, E'm, I pray, switch answere as yow least yourself purvey, for truly I nil no letter rite. No, then will I, quod he, so ye indeed. Therewith she laughed, and said, Go we dine, and he gan at himself to yape fast, and saide, Nase, I have so great a pain for love, that every other day I faste, and gan his best to yape as forth to coste, and mad her so to laugh at his folly, that she forlaughed her wende for to die. And when that she was comen into halle, Now e'm, quod she, we will go dine anon, and gan some of her woman to her calle, and straked into her chambre gan she gone, but of her business this was one among his other thinges, out of dread, for privily this letter for to read. Avised word by word in every line, and found no lack, she thought he cowed good, and up it put, and went her in to dine. But Pandarus, that in a study stood, ere he was war, she took him by the hood, and said, Ye were cocked ere that ye wiste. I vouchsafe, quod he, do what yow least. Though wishen they, and set him down and ate, and after noon full slayly Pandarus gan draw him to the window next the straight, and said, Nace, who hath arrayed thus the yonder house, that stand afore yen us? Which house, quod she, and gan for to behold, and knew it well, and whose it was him told. And filling forth in speech of thinges smalle, and Satan in the window both the tway, when Pandarus saw team unto his talle, and saw well that her folk were all away. Now nace mean tell on, quod he, I say, how leaketh yow the letter that ye wote? Can he thereon? For by my troth ye note. Therewith all rosy hued thou weck she, and gan to hum, and said, So I trow, acquit him well, for God is love, quod he. Meself to maides wol the lettre sow, and held his hondes up, and sat on knowe. Now goede nese, be it never so lite, gif me the laber, it to sow and plite. Yea, for he can so rite, quod she though, and eke not what he should to him say. Nay, nays, quod Pandare, say not so, yet at the least thanketh him, I pray, of his good will, and doth him not today. Now for the love of me, my nese dear, refuseth not at this time me prayer. Depardieu, quod she, God lave all be well. God help me so, this is the first lettre that ever ye wrote, yea, all or any del. And into a closet, for to avise her betre, she went alone, and gan her heart unfetre, out of disdain's prison but a lite, and set her down, and gan a lettre rite. Of which to tell in short is mean entente, the effect as fair as he can understande. She thanked him of all that he well meant towards her, but holding him in hand she no the knocked, ne mock herself in bond in love, but as his suster, him to please, she will fain to doen his heart an ease. She shet it, and to Pandarus it gan goon, there as he sat and looked into the straight, and down she set her by him on a stone, of jasper, upon a cushion goldy bette, and saide, As Weasley help me God the greate, he never did a thing with more pain, than rite this, to which ye may constrain. And took it him. He thanked her, and said, God woot, of thing full oft luth begone, cometh ende good, and nese mean Criseyde, that ye to him of hard now been ye wonne, ochte he be glad, by God and yonder sonne, for we men saith, impressions leakte, full leakly been I ready to the fleekte. But ye han played tyrant neg to longe, and hard was it your hearte for to grave. Now stent, that ye no longer on it honge, I'll wold ye the forme of danger save, but hasteth yow to doen him joy have. For trusteth well to long ye doen hardnesse, causeth despiteful often for distresse. And reeked as they declaimed this matter, lo, Troilus, reeked at the straightest ende, come reading with his 10th psalm ye fair, all softly, and thitherward gan bende, there as they sate, as was his way to wend to Palace ward. And Pandare him espied, and saide, Nace, ye say who cometh here, rede? O flee not in, he seeth us, I suppose, lest he may think that ye him eschew. Nay, nay, quod she, and waxes red as rose. With that he gan her humbly to salue, with dreadful chere, and oft his shoes mew, and up his look debonairly he cast, and becked on Pandara, and forth he passed. God woot if he sat on his horse reeked, or goodly was be saying, that ilke day, God woot where he was leek a manly kneeked, what should he drecke, or tell of his array. Criseyde, which that all these things say, to tell in short, her leaked all ye fair, his person, his array, his look, his chere, his goodly manner, and his gentilesse, so well that never, sith that she was born, ne hadde she switch routh of his distresse. And howso she hath hard been herbeforn, to God hope ye she hath now cocked a thorn. She shall not pull it out this next a weeke, God send most which thornes on to pique. Pandare, which that stood her faste be, felt iren hoot, and he began to smeet, and said, Nace, I pray yow heartily, tell me that he shall axen yow a lite, a woman that were of his death to weete, withouten his guilt, but for her lacked ruth. Were it well done, quod she? Nay, by my troth. God help me so, quod he, ye say me sooth, ye felon well yourself that aye not lie. Lo, yond he reet, quod she, yea so he doth. Well, quod Pandare, as he have told yow three, that be your niece sham and your folly, and spake with him in easing of his harte, let nicety not do jou both a smarte. But thereon was to heaven and to down considered all thing it may not be, and we for shame, and it were eke too soon to granten him so great a liberty, for plainly her intent, as said she, was for to love him unwist, if she meekte, and guerdon him with no thing but with seekte. But Pandarus thoughte, it shall not be so, if that he may this niece opinion shall not be holden full years two. What should he make of this a long sermon? He most assent on that conclusion. As for the team, and when that it was eve, and all was well, he rose and took his leave. And on his way full fast homeward he spade, and reeked for joy he felt his heart to dance. And Troilus he found alone abed, that lay as doth these lovers in a trance, betwixt hope and dark desesperance. But Pandarus, reeked at his incoming, he song, as who saith, Lo, somewhat ye bring. And said, Who is in his bed so soon ye buried thus? It am ye, friend, quod he. Who, Troilus? Nay, help me so the moan, quod Pandarus. Thou shalt the reason see a charm that was sent reeked now to thee, the which can hail in thee of vain excess, if thou do forth with all thy business. Yea, through the meeked of God, quod Troilus. And Pandarus gone him the letter take, and said, Pardie, God hath holpen us. Have here leaked, and look on all this blake. But oft agone the heart glad and quack of Troilus, will that he gone it rede, so as the wordes gave him hope or dread. But finally he took all for the beste, that she him wrote for somewhat he beheld, on which him thought he meeked his heart reste, while covered she the wordes undershelled, thus to the more worthy part he held, that what for hope and Pandarus beheste, his great woe forgade he at the laste. But as we may all day ourselven say, through more wood or cold, the more fear, reeked so increase hope, or what it be, therewith full oft increaseth eke desire, or as an ook cometh o'er a little spear, so through his letter, which that she him sente, increasen gan desire, of which he brente. Wherefore he say alway that day and nicht this Troilus gan to desirein more than he did erst, through hope and did his meeked, to pressen on as by Pandarus lore, and reeten to her of his sorrow sore fro day to day, he let it not refraid, that by Pandara he root somewhat or said. And did also his other observances, that to a lover longeth in this cause. And after that these deeds turned on chances, so was he other glad or said, Alas, and held after his guestes eye his pass, and after switch answeres as he hadde, so were his days sorry other gladde. But to Pandara always was his recourse, and piteously gan I tell him to plain, and him besought of rede and some succours. And Pandarus, that say his woe of pain, wax well nag deed for routh, sooth to sain, and busily with all his heart cast some of his woe to slain, and that as fast, and said, Lord and friend and brother dear, God woot that thy disease doth me woe, but wilt thou stint in all this woeful cheer, and by my troth, or it be days two, and God to forn, yet shall he shap it so, that thou shalt come into a certain place, there as thou mayest thyself her pray of grace. And certainly enote if thou it wost, but thou that being expert in love it say, it is one of the things that furthereth most a man to have a lacer for to pray, and seeker place his woe for to bewray, for in good heart it mote some wroth impresse, to hear and see the guiltless in distresse. Parentur thinkest thou, though it be so, that kinder wold doen her to begin, to han a man wroth upon my woe? Saith danger, Nay, thou shalt me never win, so ruleth her heart as ghost with een, that though she bend, yet she stand on road, what in effect is this unto my boat. Think here agains, one that the sturdy oak, on which men hacketh oft, for the nonce received hath the happy falling stroke. A great sway doth it come all at once, as doon these rockes or these milne stones. For swifter course cometh thing that is of weakte, when it descendeth, than don thing is leakte. And reed that boweth down for every blast, for leakly cess a wind, it will arise. Besonel not an ook one it is cast, it needeth me not be longe to forbize. Men shall rejoicen of a great emprise, achieved well, and stand with outen doubt, all hand men being the lenger thereabout. But Troilus, yet tell me, if thee list, a thing now which that I shall axen thee, which is thy brother that thou lovest best, as in thy very heart's privity? I wis me brother Deiphobus, quod he. Now, quod Pandare, houres 12, he shall thee ease, on wist of it himself. Now let me alone, and worken as he may, quod he. And to Deiphobus went he though, which had his lord and great a friend been I, save Troilus, no man he loved so. To tell it in short, withouten wordes mo, quod Pandarus, I pray you that ye be friend to a cause which that toucheth me. Yes, pardie, quod Deiphobus, well thou wost, in all that every may, and God to fore, all ne'er it but for man I love most, me brother Troilus. But say wherefore it is, for sith that day that I was bore, I nas ne never mo to be ne thinke, against a thing that meek to thee forthinke. Pandara gan him thanke, and to him said, Lo sirrah, I have a laddie in this town that is my niece, and call it is Criseyde, which some men wolden doen oppression, and wrongfully have her possession. Wherefore I of your lordship jou beseech, to be our friend, without more speech. Deiphobus him answered, O is not this that thou spakest of to me thus strongly, Criseyde, my friend? He said, Yes. Then needeth quod Deiphobus heartily, ne more to spake, for trusteth well that I will be her champion with spore and yerde. I rocked not though all her foes it herde. But tell me how, thou that wust all this matter, how I might best availen. Now let's see, quod Pandarus, if ye, my lord so dear, wolden as now done his honour to me, to prayen here to Morwa, lo, that she come unto you her plaints to devise, her adversaries wold of it agrees. And if I more durste pray as now, and chargen you to have so great travail, to hand some of your brethren here with you, that meekten to her cause bet availa, then woot I well she meekten never faila, for to be holpen, what at your instance, what with her other friends governance. Deiphobus, which that comen was of kind, to all honour and bounty to consent, answered, It shall be done, and ye can find yet greater help to this in mine intent. What wilt thou say, if I for Ellen sent to spake of this? I trow it be the best, for she may laden perish as her list. Of Hector, which that is my lord, my brother, it needeth not to pray him friend to be, for I have heard him o team and eke other spake of Criseyde switch honour, that he may say no bet, switch hap to him hath she, it needeth not his help as for to crava, he shall be switch, richt as we will him have. Speak thou thyself also to Troilus on me behalf, and pray him with Astina. Sirrah, all this shall be done, quod Pandarus, and took his leave, and never again to Fina, but to his niece's house as straight as lean. He come, and found her for the meta risa, and set him down and spak richt in this wisa. He said, O very God, so have ye ronna, lo, niece mine, see ye not how we sweata? I noot whether ye the more thank me conna, be ye not war, how that false Polifete is now about eft sones for to plate, and bring on you advocacies new? Ye know, quod she, and changed all her hue. What is he more about, me to dreche, and doen me wrong? What shall he do, alas? Yet of himself no thing ne wold he reche, ne'er it for Antenor and Aeneas, that been his friendes in swich manner cas, but for the love of God, min uncle dere, no force of that, let him have all ye fare. Withouten that he have enoch for us, ne quod pandere, it shall no thing be so, for he have been richt now at Deiphobus, and Hector, and min other lordes mo, and shortly maketh each of him his foe, that by my thrift he shall it never win, for aught he can, when that so he begin. And as they cast in what was best to doen, Deiphobus of his own courtesy come here to pray in his proper person, to hold him on the morrow company at dinner, which she nold not deny, but goodly gone to his prayer obey. He thanked her, and went up on his way. One of this was done, this pandere up noon, to tell in short, and forth gan for to wende to Troilus, as stille as any stone. And all this thing he told to him word and ende, and how that he Deiphobus gone to blende, and say to him, now is time, if that thou canna, to bear thee well to morrow, and all is wonne. Now spake, now pray, now piteously complain, let not for niece a shame or dread or slouth. Some time a man mote tell his own pain, believe it, and she shall han on thee routh. Thou shalt be saved by thy faith in troth. But well wot I, thou art now in a dread, and what it is, ye lay, ye canna read. Thou thinkest now, how shall thee done all this, for be my cheres most in focus be, that for her love is that he fare amiss, yet had I lever, and wist for sorwadi. Now think not so, for thou dost great folly, for ye reek now have found an o manner of slakte, for to cover in all thy chere. Thou shalt goon over neekt, and that is blieve, unto Deiphobus house, as thee to play, thy melody away the bet to drive, for we thou same seek, soth for to say. Soon after that down in thee bed thee lay, and say, thou mayst nae longer up endure, and lie reek there, and bide thee aventure. Say that the favourers want thee for to taka, the same a time, and last until a morrow, and let see now how well thou canst it make. For pardie, sick is he that is in sorrow. Go now, farewell, and Venus here to borrow, ye hope, and thou this purpose hold firma. Thy grace she shall fully there confirm. Quod Troilus, I wis thou natalies concealest me, that sicklich I may feign, for I am sick in earnest, doubteless, so that well nae I starve for the pain. Quod Pandarus, thou shalt the better plain, and hast the lace need to counterfeit, for him main daemon hoot, that men saint sweet. Lo, hold thee at the triste clues, and I shall well the deer unto thy bow drive. Therewith he took his lave all softly, and Troilus to palace went leave. So glad ne was he never in all his leave, and to Pandarus reed gan all assente, and to Deiphobus' house at neekt he went. What needeth yow to tellen all the chere that Deiphobus unto his brother made, or his accessa, or his sicklich manner, how men gan him with clothes for to lade, when he was laid, and how men wold him glade. But all for naught he held forth I the wise, that ye han heard Pandera ere this devise. But certain is, ere Troilus him laid, Deiphobus had him prayed, overneekt, to be a friend and helping to Criseyde. God woot that he it granted anon reekte, to be her full friend with all his meekt. But switch a nede was to pray him then, as for to be a woed man for to ren. The morrowen come, and nean gan the team of meal atede, that the fair Queen Elaine shope her to been, an hour after the prima, with Deiphobus, to whom she nold the fain, but as his suster, homely sooth to sain, she come to dinner in her plain and taunt, but God and Pandare wist all what this mante. Come eke Criseyde, all innocent of this, Antigone her sister, Turbe also, but flay we now prolixity best is, for love of God, and let us fast to go, wreak to the effect without a talus mo, by all this folk assembled in this place, and let us of her saluings pass. Great honour did him de Phoebus certain, and fada him well with all that meek delica, but evermore, alas, was his refrain, my good brother Troilus, the seeka leath yet, and therewithal he gan to seeka, and after that he painted him to glada him as he meekta, and chere good he made. Complained eke Elaine of his sicknessa, so faithfully that pity was to Hera, and every week gan waxen for excessa, a lecha known, and said, in this manner men curen folk, this charmy royale lera, but there sat one, all list here knock to teacha, that thought best could yet been his lecha. After complaint him gonen they to praise, as folk don yet, when some week hath begun to praise a man, and up with praise him raise, 1,000-fold yet higher than the sun. He is, he can, that few a lord is can, and Pandarus of that the world affirma, he not forgat, here praising to confirm. Heard all this thing Criseyde well ye knocked, and every word gan for to notify, for which with sober cheer her heart to lock, for who is that nae wold her glorify, to mouwens which a knecht don leave or die. But all passa lest ye too long dwell, for foro fin is all that ever ye tell. The time come for dinner for Teresa, and as him ocht a reason every John, and goon a wheel of this and that devisa. But Pandarus brak all the speech unknown, and said to de Phoebus, will ye gon, if your will obey, as a yapreda, to speak a here of the natives of Criseyde. Elaine, which that by the haunt her held, took first the tala, and said, go we believe, and goodly on Criseyde she beheld, and said, love us let him never thrive, that doth ya harm, and bring him soon of leave. And yeva me sorwa, but he shall it rue, if that he may, and all folk be true. Tell thou thy nace's cause, quod de Phoebus, to Pandarus, for thou canst best it tella. My lordes and my ladies, it stamp thus, what should thee linger, quod he, do ya dwella. He wrong him out a process like a bella, upon her foe, that heeked prolifite, so heinous, that men meeked on it spate. Answered of this each worse of him than other, and prolifite they gon and thus to wherein, unhonged be switch on, where he may brother, and so he shall, for it ne may not varian. What should he linger in this tal terrian? Plainly all at once they here heekten, to be her help in all that ever they meekten. Spake then Ellen and said, Pandarus, would ocht my lord, my brother, this matter, I mean Ector, or would it Troilus? He said, yea, but will ye now me Hera, me thinketh this, sith Troilus is Hera, it were good if that ye wold assenta, she told herself him all this ere she went. For he will have the more her grief at heart by cause, lo, that she a lady is, and by your lave he will but reeked in starta, and do ya weeta, and that anon he wis, if that he sleepa, or will ocht hear of this. And in he lape and said him in his era, God have thy soul, ye brocht have ye they beara. To smilen of this gando Troilus, and Pandarus, without reckoning, outwent anon to Ellen and de Phoebus, and said him, so there be no tarrying, nay more press, he will well that ye bring Criseyde, my lady, that is here, and as he may enduren, he will Hera. But well ye wot the chamber is but lita, and fewer folk may leetly make it warm. Now looketh ye, for ye will have no weeta, to bring in priests that meeked doon him harm, or him disseason, for my betre arm. Will it be bet she bide till eftsones? Now looketh ye that knowen what to doen is. Ye say for me best is as ye can know, that no weeked in ne wente but ye tway. But it were ye, for ye can in a throw rehearse her case on leak that she can say, and after this she may him wonnes pray to bane good lord, in short, and take her leave. This may not muchel of his ays him rave. And eke for she is strange, he wold forbear his ays, which that him thar knocked for yow. Eke other thing that toucheth not to Hera, he will me tella. He would it well reek now, that secret is, and for the town is prow, and they that nothing knew of his entente, without a more to Troilus in they went. Elaine in all her goodly softe wise, gan him salua, and womanly to play, and saide, Ye wis ye most always arise, now fair brother, baith all whole I pray, and gan her arm reeked over his shoulder lay, and him with all her wheat to recomfort, as she best could, she gan him to disport. So after this quod she, way yow be sake, my dear brother, de Phoebus and I, for love of God, and so doth Pandora eke, to being good lord and friend, reeked heartily, unto Criseyde, which that certainly receiveth wrong, as would well hear Pandora, that can her case well bet than I declare. This ponderous gon knew his tongue a feel, and all her case rehearse, and that anon, when it was said soon after in a wheele, quod Troilus, as soon as ye may goon, ye war reeked fain with all me meek to be known, have God me troth, her cause to sustaine, God thrift have ye, quod Helen the queen. Quod Pandarus, and it your will be, that she may take her leave ere that she go. O else God forbade, though quod he, if that she vouchsafe for to do so. And with that word quod Troilus, Yea too, de Phoebus, and my suster leave and dare, to yow have I to speak of o mater. To be avised by your reed the betre, and fond as hap was at his bed as heed, the copy of a treatise and a lettre, that Hector had him sent to Axon read. If switch a man was worthy to be deed, would he knock too, but in a grisly wise, he prayed him anon on it avise. Phoebus gan this lettre to unfold in earnest greet, so did Elaine the queen, and roaming outward fast it gan behold, downward the stair, into a herbe green, this ilke thing they redden him between, and largely the mountains of an hour, they gone on it to raiden and to pour. Now let him raid and turn we anon to Pandarus, that gan full fast prie that all was well, and out he gan to goon into the great chambre, and that in he and saide, God salve all this company, come nace amin, my lady Queen Elaine, abideth yow, and eke my lord is tway. Rise, take with yow your nace Antigone, or whom yow least, or no force heartily, the less a priest, the bet come forth with me, and looka that yow thonka humbly, him all a three, and when ye may goodly your team ye see, talketh of him your leva, lest we too longa his restes him berave. All innocent of Pandarus and tant, quodo Criseyde, go we uncledere, and arm in arm inward with him she went, avised well her wordes and her chere, and Pandarus in earnestful manner saide, all folk for God's love ye pray, stinteth reeked here, and softly yow play. Aviseth yow what folk been here within, and in what pleat one is, God him amend, and inward thus full softly begin. Nace, ye conjure and hagly yow defend, on his half, which that Saul us all send, and in the virtue of Carones twain, slee not this man that hath for yow this pain. Fie on the devil, think which one he is, and in what pleat he lieth. Come of anon, think all switch tarried teed, but lost it nis, that will ye both sain when ye be known. Second leech, there yet divineth none, upon yow twoe, come of now if ye conna, while folk is blent, lo, all the team is wonna. In teetering and pursuit and delays, the folk devine at wagging of a stree, and though ye wold han after merry days, then dar ye knocked and wee, for she spak switch a word, thus looked he, and he lest teamy lost, he dare not with Yaudela, come of therefore and bringeth him to Hela. But now to yow ye lovers that been here, was Troilus knocked in a cankadort, that lay and meeked whispering of him here, and thoughta, O Lord, reek now renneth my sort fully to die, or Hannah noon comfort, and was the first team he should here pray of love. O mighty God, what shall he say? Explicit secundus liber. End of Book 2. Recording by Kevin Johnson.